to Bonnie B's Homemaker Experience. As always, I am so glad that you decided to join me. There was a commercial that aired many years ago, and it depicted a baker. And this baker, he'd be heading out the door going to the bakery. And each time that he went out the door, he'd say, "Time to make that item." I'm not going to say what it is, but he'd say, "Time to make and it could be the crack of dawn, a hurricane, a blizzard, sleet, snow, whatever. He'd head out that door and he'd say, "Time to make Well, it is not the crack of dawn, fortunately for me, nor is there a hurricane or a blizzard going on. No sleet, not even a little bit of drizzle. But it is time to make and I'm going to say it's time to make the cookies. So let's go ahead and get started. Enjoy. All right, so here are the ingredients that we're going to need for the cookies. I've got flaxseed meal and water. So that's the 7 grams of flaxseed meal and 57 grams of water. Okay, and this is a substitute for 1 egg. I think I've showed you this on one of my videos before. Okay, and this is the flaxseed meal. It looks like this. Okay, just a powder. Okay. And then you just measure it out, and then you add the water to it and let it sit, and it'll look like this when it's ready. Okay, so this is the equivalent of 1 egg. We've got applesauce here, about 2.5 ounces of applesauce. I've got a very ripe banana. Okay, very ripe. Actually, I had it in the freezer, and after it ripened up, I put it in the freezer. Okay, and here it is, just perfect for what I need today. Because your ripe bananas tend to be sweeter than just your banana that's ready to eat. I should say a very, very ripe banana. Bananas sweeten as they get very ripe. Okay, so we've got a banana, about 100 grams. Of a small banana. Okay, this is sweet potatoes. Now I've got 2 types of sweet potatoes. This is from a can which I pureed, and then I pressed it out and flattened it, pressed it out and put it in the freezer. And this is an actual these sweet potatoes were fresh sweet potatoes. I roasted them, and then first I peeled them, put them in the food processor, and let it, dice it up or mince it up. Anyway, that's what it looks like this. And then I put it in the oven and roasted them. After that, pressed them out in a bag, put them in the freezer. And so then they come out just like this. And which is perfect, again, for whatever, they're ready for me to use however I want to use them, okay? I've got carrots here that were frozen. First I, grated them up and then put them away, froze them. I've got dried cranberries. I have almonds, which because I'm making small little bite-sized cookies, I like to have my almonds small. And so instead of chopping them up, which is what I have done before, I decided I'll take a shortcut and I'll just put them in the blender. And then this is what happened, okay? I didn't intend for them to get, it kind of looks like flour. If I had left them in any longer, it would have become flour. Almond flour, which is a good thing, it can be, okay? But these are the almonds, and this is the way, I buy them, like this. Okay, and I just put them in the blender. And then it became what you see here. And then also in this bowl are my sunflower seeds. Okay, and then, okay, and then we've got some mini chocolate chips. I like to use the mini size because, again, I'm making the cookie bites. Okay, not a big cookie, just a small cookie. Greek yogurt. Uh-oh, let me see. All right. Then we've got the Greek yogurt and peanut butter, which this is going to be a peanut butter cookie or peanut butter based cookie or a peanut butter cookie. It's going to be a peanut butter cookie, okay? And then I have my, what is this? Okay. This is my oat flour. And I do not buy oat flour. What I do, I just buy, you know, like your oatmeal that you eat for breakfast, you know, and then I put it in the blender and just blend it up, and then it becomes, you know, like this consistency, okay? All right, and I use it as I need it. Okay, so we got oat flour. And this is, if you saw my last video, I made lentil flour from dried lentils. All right, this is the flour. We're gonna add this flour in with our peanut butter, with my peanut butter cookies, okay? All right. Okay, well that's it. That's all the ingredients. Wow, I'm sorry, that wasn't all the ingredients. I hadn't gotten everything out. Okay. We're gonna be using some chia seeds, okay? And also, I'll be using flaxseed, some more flaxseed meal, not as a egg, but just putting them into the cookies, okay? Some flaxseed meal. Then of course we have to add baking powder and salt, okay, to the mix. And there's one more item, and that is almond extract, which we're going to add to the cookies, okay? Give it a nice flavor. Okay, so now that's it for the ingredients. All right, so we're going to start with the wet ingredients, getting them mixed together. So I'm going to put the bananas, or the banana, and the sweet potatoes into my handy dandy food processor. All right, so now I'm going to add 60 grams of carrots, and then to that I'm going to add the applesauce, which is about 79 grams or 2.5 ounces roughly. All right, and then I'm going to put my flax egg in. See? All right, let's pour that in. All right, and then I'm going to add the yogurt. I'm going to put in 50 grams of yogurt. Okay, 54. Okay, and okay. So this is the equivalent of creaming your, you know, fats or butter and sugar. You know, when you're making cookies, you cream the butter and sugar first. Well, in this case, I'm not using any sugar. As you can see, I didn't put any sugar in here. Okay, just you know, our carrots and applesauce and sweet potatoes. That's going to give you the some of the sweetness, okay? And the banana, of course, the banana. You know, as I mentioned, that's why you want to use a very ripe banana, because that's going to add some sweetness to the cookie, okay? And this cookie, you notice I did use carrots. You said carrots in a cookie? Well, you know, we do make carrot cake, you know, so we can make put carrots in cookies as well as in cake. All right, all right. Okay, so that looks good. And to that, I'm going to add the peanut butter. And then to that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the almond extract in. All right, so we're just gonna put in a teaspoon of the almond extract. Ooh, okay, let's get that in. All right, there we go. Oh wow, that's looking good. So now let's go ahead and get the dry ingredients started. All right, so here's my oat flour and lentil flour. I've started mixing it. So we're gonna put a quarter teaspoon of salt. I'm sorry, a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, and then a quarter teaspoon of salt. There. I'll just kind of get this mixed up in here. So I'm gonna put in about 20 grams of flaxseed meal. All right, we're gonna go about 15 of the chia. Okay, all right, and just, let's move this. Just get this all mixed up together. Now I've got some cranberries, the dried cranberries. Now, I could put them in just like it is, but because I'm making my cookies so small, I just try to chop them up a little bit. So instead of have one big dried cranberry, I got little bits of cranberry throughout the little cookie bite. All right, so I've got about 1.5 ounces of the cranberries, the dried cranberries, and I'm just gonna measure out the 60 grams of the mini chocolate chips. Let me zero that out. Okay. All right, so now let's just get all this mixed together. Okay, that looks good. All right, now I'll just go ahead and add the sunflower seeds and the almonds. Okay. And I might as well add the chocolate chips and the cranberries too right now, okay? All right, and we'll just mix them in. I love this batter, or cookie dough, I guess I should say. And if you're into cookie dough, well, this is one that you could just eat because it doesn't have any eggs in it, okay? Just sweet potatoes and flaxseed meal, bananas, all these things you can eat just like it is. You don't have to bake it, but I'm baking it. You know, I'm not really into cookie dough. As far as eating it, I prefer the baked cookie. Okay. All right, so there it is. It's all set. And actually, I could just take this and start making my cookies, putting them on the cookie sheet. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to refrigerate this and then come back and make the cookies, okay? And it doesn't really matter how long you want to leave it in. I mean, you don't have to do it. You don't have to chill it. You know, it's just something that I'm going to be doing, okay? All right. All right, now if you are going to, if you do decide you're going to refrigerate it, what you want to do is make sure you cover it. Don't just put it in like this, you know. You want to keep the air off of it. So put some plastic wrap over it. Or if you have a lid for your bowl, then you just do that, and which is I do. So I'm just going to put the lid on and put this in the refrigerator. So I just took it out the refrigerator. Well, I didn't just take it out. I took it out the refrigerator and let it sit on the counter for a while. Give it a chance to kind of come back to room temperature. Okay, let's take that off. And oh, as you can see, I did put the plastic wrap over it. I just wanted to make sure that my dough wouldn't dry out. Okay, and if you remember, I didn't put any additional fat into this dough. You know, I used the sweet potatoes and the applesauce and the banana, you know, to replace what would have been butter or margarine or shortening. So I just wanted to make sure, because of that, because there's no additional fat in it, I just wanted to make sure that the batter didn't dry out. You know, they say you don't have to grease the parchment paper, but I am going to give it a little spray because, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't put any additional fat into these cookies. I just want to make sure that it doesn't stick, so I'm going to give it a little spray, a light spray. These don't do a lot of spreading, so I'm going to end up putting them kind of close together. Okay, I put them on the four corners just to kind of help keep the paper down in place. Okay. And you can see the little flecks of cranberries and the chocolate chips. You know, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I've got everything in each cookie. You know, all the ingredients are in each cookie. So of course, I mentioned earlier, I think, that you can use whatever kind of flour you want to use, but with the lentil flour and the oat flour, it gives you a little, you know, some added nutrition, you know, some added fiber, some added protein. These are peanut butter cookies, so put the little fork thing on there, mark on it. I think I read somewhere that they said that the reason why you use the fork to flatten out the peanut butter cookies is so that they can bake up more evenly or something along those lines. Somebody out there probably knows the exact reason why. Let me know. I read it somewhere. I just can't remember exactly why. But anyway, these are basically a peanut butter cookie. So we're going to just flatten them out with the fork. Well, not completely flatten, but just a little bit. All right. So we're ready to go into the oven. 350-degree preheated oven. All right. Let's go. All right, here they are, and I've let them cool a little bit on the baking sheet, and they were in the oven about 23 minutes, and I wanted them to brown, but this is a little bit browner than I wanted them, but I do believe they're going to be okay. Let me just open one. Oh yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? Excellent. Maybe that was a good thing that I let them brown like that. I usually don't let them quite get this brown, but that gave them a little crunch, but they're still soft. It's a crunchiness on the outside, but they're still soft on the inside, and has just the right amount of sweetness. Before I started making these on a regular basis, we were eating a pre-packaged kind of a bar that was, you know, it was okay, but this is even better. We're just gonna let these continue to cool, and then I'll get the next batch on the baking sheet and into the oven. Let me carefully move these out the way. We ended up with a little over 5 dozen of the peanut butter breakfast cookie bites. I'm calling them breakfast cookies because, you know, we like to eat these in the morning, you know, for breakfast. You know, just a quick go-to when we're on the move. We need to grab something quick, and we want to get something that is not only delicious but nutritious. And this really hits the spot. Like I said, these have just the right amount of sweetness. And this started out as just a regular peanut butter type cookie. Actually, it started out as a 3-ingredient peanut butter cookie, but then I, just made it my own. Changed up some of the ingredients, added a little this and that, things that, I wanted to include in my diet. And, it's working. It's working. So hopefully this gives you some ideas on some things that you can do to, change up your recipes to make them a little more healthier for you. You want to be able to enjoy eating, but you want to get the proper nutrients that you need in your body and not have a lot of not eat a lot of empty calories. Well, I'm going to list the ingredients in the description box. And I think this wraps up my video for today. I pray that you saw or heard something that was beneficial to you. And to all of you that have subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. That is to Viney B's Homemaker Experience. And share it with your family and friends. And, click the notification bell so you'll be alerted each time I upload a new video. All right. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, be wonderfully blessed. And in everything, give thanks. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. All right. Bye-bye.